Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome everyone to a new League of Legends video. So every now and then I like to talk with you guys about changes happening in League of Legends, and of course this includes things like champion buffs or nerfs. I don't usually talk about things like buffs or nerfs, but I feel like this is an exception and I really should this time. Also, at the end of the day, do not forget these are just my initial impressions that can be 100% wrong or 100% right. It is all subjective. Maybe Riot really is making the right call here. At the end of the day, we don't really know for sure. So in this video, the main thing I'll be talking about will be the nerfs to Ahri happening on the PvE. Currently, you can see that Ahri's Charm, her E of course, is actually losing the ability to cancel champion dashes if they were charmed mid-dash. Now this obviously includes things like LeBlanc's W, Zin's dash, Akali's ult, Lucian's E, Diana's ultimate, and so on. So the way it works now, as asked by Vertical on Twitter, the charm will only apply once the dash is finished. So an example is with LeBlanc in the laning phase. Most LeBlancs obviously throw their Q and then follow up with a W to proc the Q damage and deal even more damage. Now an Ahri that is experienced with the champion and in the matchup will essentially use the charm to counter the LeBlanc W. But now the charm will only affect the champion once their dash is finished doing its thing. By the way, don't get me wrong, Ahri nerfs were probably long overdue. It's just I don't think this might be the best way to do it. However, following that discussion in just a bit, I will also talk about a couple small things. So for instance, the Katarina buffs that I think are actually quite decent on the PvE, and the Warlord's Bloodlust, and overall just give you my thoughts on it. So I'm not really sure if you guys enjoy these kind of videos, but if you do enjoy hearing my thoughts or what I think about certain subjects like these, definitely hit that like button to show me and let me know. And this is a discussion type video, so the question I want to ask you guys to answer down below is, what do you think about the Ahri changes to her charm? So starting off with the main topic of this video, the Ahri nerf. So Ahri, in my honest opinion, is among the most well-rounded mid laners in the game. She can do many things well, but she doesn't necessarily excel at anything either. She's a very well-rounded champion, and I've said this for several videos I've made when I talked about this champion. This explains why her play rate is actually quite high consistently, and I personally go to her quite often when I'm looking to win a game and I feel like I want to play a more or less safe and reliable champion. Now, some people may look at this change with Ahri and consider it insignificant, and honestly, at the end of the day, or in the greater scheme of things, it kind of is. In the lower level of play, players will rarely use her charm for the sole purpose to cancel a dash. At the end of the day, pulling this off is not very easy, and it takes practice and patience. However, in higher level play, and especially in pro play, using Ahri's E to cancel a champion's dash, whether it's predicting and catching someone off, or using it as a form of counterplay in lane like Ahri versus LeBlanc, is a skill developed through experience and from just overall getting better and putting more and more time into a champion. Being able to pull that off comes from trial and error, and is and should be treated as a reward for putting in the time to develop these skills with that champion. In my mind, Riot removing these kind of things sort of says, well, you put in all this time to learn this champion and learn the finer detail of this champion, but we're just gonna remove it altogether and essentially not reward you for putting in extra time to learn a champion. Now, I'm obviously not a one-trick Ahri player, or I don't really play her a ridiculous amount, so I personally do not care a whole lot about these changes. However, they have been doing similar changes with champions like Zed, Rengar, and even more recently, Ryze. So taking a quick look at the changes made to Ryze this patch and Riot's reasoning behind the changes is honestly quite baffling. So their reason to the changes towards Ryze this patch, and I quote, "The discrepancy between a new Ryze player and a Ryze veteran is staggering." I mean, isn't that kind of the point though of learning a champion and investing the time to more or less master or become a veteran of a champion? You're supposed to be better, you're supposed to have more mechanics or better mechanics than a person just recently picking up a champion. Again, in my mind, that's how it should be, but I mean, I could be wrong. I'm just one person with my own personal thought. Either way, all we can do at this point is trust that Riot really knows what they're doing and just put our faith into them. But an example to what they can do with Ahri instead of maybe making the changes to charm is maybe making her W deal a bit less damage, maybe making her Q not being as strong, whether it's changing the damage or the move speed offered, or maybe it's increasing the delay between each ultimate charge being able to be used. I mean, there's several different things, and I'm not super experienced with Ahri in order to give the best change, but again, those are just some examples. But enough of me ranting about that topic and the changes to Ahri, so let's move along and go to the next topic, the Katarina change. changes. So this change is actually very interesting to me, and essentially what they're doing is they're making her Q deal full damage to all targets with every single bounce, on top of increasing the ratios on the second portion of Q slightly. Katarina is an assassin we have not seen in a very long time, and honestly I welcome the changes. Even though I hate personally facing Katarina in lane because I find it really annoying, I think this is quite a decent change in order to make her a bit more viable. At the moment, Katarina feels like she does lack in the laning phase, and she honestly has been for quite some time, and her teamfight also feels a little lackluster as well. So buffing the laning phase makes her obviously a bit more viable in that sense, and it doesn't still make her completely annoying and atrociously strong in teamfights, because it still takes some patience and proper timing in order to really utilize her to her full potential. So contrary to what I said about Riot in the changes to Ahri, I actually think these are quite smart changes. But also in teamfights, she will be a bit more reliable, since her Q, if it bounces to 4 champions in a teamfight, will deal some decent and respectable damage, and she's not going to be some useless champion that's making her teamfight essentially a 4v5 fight until she finally, maybe, hopefully finds the right time to go in. So I think this might make her a decent solo queue assassin once again, but the question still lies, just how good will she be? And the final thing I want to talk with you guys about is going to be the changes to Warlord's Bloodlust. So this mastery got buffed recently, but it still feels completely overshadowed by Fervor of Battle. So the changes to this mastery or keystone now will let it offer much more lifesteal based on your missing HP, with a staggering 20% lifesteal bonus if you're below 20% HP. So this is actually quite nuts, though I still feel like it is still somewhat of a niche type mastery or keystone, and only certain champions will take it, maybe for example like Tryndamere and his ultimate. I still personally think that Fervor of Battle will overshadow it for the most part, just because it is more reliable and it is useful from level 1. And quite honestly, the current meta ADCs are utilizing Fervor of Battle much more effectively than they will with Warlord's Bloodlust. So even though it's a pretty cool change, and I'm actually curious to see how it plays out, I'm personally thinking Fervor of Battle will still be, for the most part, the go-to. But that is about it for this video, guys. Those are my thoughts on these 3 different topics. Again, if you do enjoy these kind of things, if you enjoy hearing me talk about these changes or just these general things, make sure to hit that like button and or leave a comment down below answering the question I asked at the beginning of the video, and also maybe letting me know that you actually enjoy these type of videos. Also make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also check out my previous videos. Here are my favorite answers from the previous video's question that I asked: what champion do you believe is the current most broken champion? But I thank each and every one of you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you for the next one as well. Peace.